Today we're going to be talking about starting a private practice from scratch. One assumption I'm going to make is that you've already done all of your training and anything that you need to do to become a psychotherapist, counsellor, as this isn't something that I know much about and it's definitely not my expertise. So I'm going to be taking you through a list of things that you should do when you're starting any business really, but obviously I'm talking to therapists in private practice. So the steps you'll take to set up your private practice so that you can start seeing clients. Before we jump into all the steps, hi, I'm Kim. I help therapists in private practice get online, get confident with admin and reduce tech overwhelm, but I've also started a business myself. So if you are at the stage where you're thinking about starting a private practice, I'm sure this video is going to help you feel much more confident to get started. So a couple of things first, I am based in the UK, so some of the steps I talk about will be specific to therapists who are starting a practice in the UK. However, wherever you are in the world, I'm sure that these steps will be useful for you, and then you'll just need to look into the specific rules around starting a business within your country or state. Secondly, I do also have a free resource which I will link in the description below, which has all of these steps listed out and probably a little bit more information and also some links to all the places that I talk about. So the first thing you want to do is decide on a legal structure. And basically what that means is whether you're going to set up as a sole trader or a limited company. Now, if you are just getting started in private practice, it's really easy to just set yourself up as a sole trader, and all you would need to do is register as such and you'll be able to get started in business right away. You can actually start practicing and seeing clients before you even set yourself up, but you must register within a certain time frame of starting your business. Most of the therapists I work for have chosen that structure as a sole trader. It's much easier to set up. You can do your self-assessment yourself each year, so it can save you a lot of money when you first start out. Now, I am not a financial advisor or anything like that, but there is no real benefit to setting up as a limited company when you first start out before you start earning a certain amount of money. So this is why most therapists choose to go down the sole trader route. Once you have chosen what legal structure you want to set up as, you will need to register with the HMRC, and this is where things will be different in different countries, but for the UK you would just register with the HMRC. You will get yourself a unique taxpayer reference number, which is called a UTR number. This can take a couple of weeks to get sent to you. There's quite a quick process to set yourself up, but then you need to go through another process of them sending you the number via post, signing in and things like that. So I would make sure that that is done sooner rather than later. I would get this stuff sorted before you actually start seeing clients so that you're all prepared when it comes to doing your self-assessment. There's no worse feeling than trying to do your taxes on the 31st of January and you try and log in and you cannot find your UTR number and things like that. So just get these things sorted as soon as possible. Keep that somewhere really safe and make sure you log on to make sure it works before you need to do your self-assessment each year. Now, the next thing to do would be to choose a name. Now, if you are setting yourself up as a limited company, you would register that company name when you set yourself up as a limited company. Whereas if you're a sole trader, you just set yourself up, so your name up as the person who is going to be running a business, but you do not need to register the name of your business if you're a sole trader. So for example, I am Kimberly Simmons. If I wanted to set up Simmons Counselling, I wouldn't need to tell HMRC that I'm setting up Simmons Counselling if I was a sole trader. But what is good to do is run the name that you're thinking of for your practice through a few different places. So the first one to check is Companies House, so that you can see if there is another limited company with your name. Because if there is, you aren't really going to be able to trade with that name itself, even if you're a sole trader. Because if there is, they're more than likely already going to have a domain in that name, so a website. And also, if you did ever want to become a limited company, you're not going to be able to use that name. So if you've built up a great reputation as Simmons Counselling and then you try and register as a limited company in that name, you're not going to be able to, and you're going to have to rename your practice, which is going to be a real pain. So first of all, check on Companies House to see if you can have the name that you want. Secondly, check the domain itself. So what you can do is go to GoDaddy, and there's lots of others, and type in the domain you want. So let's say I want Simmons Counselling, I type in Simmons Counselling as a domain name, and if it says it's available, then that's great because it means that you can build a website under that name. If it's not available, there may be alternatives. So maybe simmonscounselling.com or simmonscounselling.co.uk isn't available, but maybe simmonscounselling.org is available. And then you can choose whether you want to use that or whether you'd prefer to have a domain which has the .com or .co.uk at the end of it. And then the third thing to check are social media handles. So you may not want to start a business page on Facebook or an Instagram account. You may not even want to have LinkedIn or a YouTube channel. However, you don't know what's going to happen in the future. So being able to use @Simmons Counselling as a Facebook page and an Instagram page and things like that can be really useful. And you can set those pages up so that you keep that name but don't use it. It's always good when you choose a name for your business just to take everything you can. So you can't register on Companies House unless you have a limited company, but you can buy the domain and you can take all of the social media handles that you may need in the future. Next thing to think about is your business address. Now again, some of these steps, if you have chosen to go down the limited company route, you would have already had to think about these, but I'm assuming that most of you are going to go down the sole trader route, which is why I'm doing it in the order that I am. When it comes to registering a business address, you have a few options. If you have decided to rent a room from somewhere, you should be able to use that address as your business address. You will just need to ask the person that you're leasing off if that's okay. If you are solely working from home, you may want to use your home address, but depending on where you're registering this, people may be able to find your address out, which you may not want. So another option for you when you are solely working from home is using your accountant's address. So if you do hire an accountant to help you with your bookkeeping and self-assessment and things like that, you can usually use their premises address for your business. Lots of accountants let you do this. If you have a friend that has a brick and mortar business, maybe they'll let you use their address as your business address. Another option is to set up a virtual office. I was actually doing some research into this for my own business and found a really great website that you can buy an address. It's relatively cheap to do so, and as long as you don't need actual post being sent to the address other than things from HMRC and your bank, it can be well worth paying for the address so that your actual home address never appears anywhere online. I will link that in the description below as well. The next thing to do is create a completely separate bank account. You really don't want to be confusing your personal finances with your business finances, even if you're a sole trader. It is going to make doing your self-assessment and things like that so much easier if you have a separate bank account. You'll always know how much cash flow you have because you can see what's in your bank account and know what is meant to be coming out, and you're not muddying the water with mortgage payments and shopping at Tesco's and things like that. It's really easy to set up a bank account nowadays. I highly recommend Starling. I absolutely love them as a bank. I don't really know how to explain why I love them, but they're just so easy to use. You can set up an account in 5 minutes online. Everything is done through an app on your phone, and they notify you every time a payment comes in or goes out of your account via like a notification, which is just fantastic. I love feeling like I have control over my finances. It's also so easy to make payments, set up standing orders, and send yourself statements whenever you want. So I highly recommend looking into Starling. I'm not an affiliate for them or anything like that. They don't actually even have an affiliate program, but it's definitely worth looking into if you want an easy way to set up a bank account. I also like that it's different from my personal finance. So I have a different bank account for my personal finance, and I just find it really easy to separate them. It's a completely different app, completely different bank, so I never get them mixed up. What you want to make sure is that all of your payments that are specifically for your practice are coming out of that business bank account. So if you have to pay for room rent, if you have to pay for any directory listings, if you have to pay for anything for your office, specifically like a computer or a printer, something like that, you can put that on your business expenses, which can reduce the amount of tax that you're going to pay at the end of the year. I promise you, it will make it so much easier for you when it comes to doing your banking and self-assessment, when everything is super clear. Everything that came out from this bank account is a taxable expense. Everything that came in is my revenue, and you don't have to worry about, was that payment from Tesco's for my work or for my personal life and things like that. So it just makes it super simple. The next thing you are going to want to do is get business insurance. Now, each business is going to be different depending on whether clients are coming to your home or a premises that you're leasing, or whether you're just seeing them online. There will be a minimum amount of insurance that you're going to want to get, and I would definitely encourage you to do your research into what insurance you'll need. There are a few insurers that do work with therapists specifically. I'll also put a note on the screen who they are, and it's a really good idea to speak to other therapists that you know, or on Facebook groups and stuff like that, to ask about insurance, because it's something that's really important that you get sorted. It's a relatively low cost each month or each year, but it's great for your peace of mind. And finally, if you are in the UK, you'll also need to register with the ICO. This is for GDPR and data protection and things like that. You will be handling clients' personal data. You'll be taking their GP details, their date of birth, their address and things like this, and so you will need to have that protection and insurance so that if there's a data breach, that you can follow the protocols as per the ICO's guidelines. So everything I've talked about, I will link in the description below. There'll be lots of links for you. If you just want one link, I'll also give you the free resource I have, which is a private practice business setup guide. This goes through everything I've talked about, probably in a little bit more detail as well. It has links to everything that I have mentioned, insurance companies, HMRC, the ICO and things like that. Makes it really easy. You can just go through the checklist and do one thing at a time, and hopefully you won't feel so overwhelmed when starting your private practice. And then all you need to worry about is getting clients. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you found this video useful. I'd love you to comment if you have started a private practice already, if I missed anything out that's really important that a therapist should think about when starting their practice. Check out the description for all the links, because there'll be lots of information in there for you. And thanks so much for watching.